The land down under, the final frontier, call it what you may, but the mighty Aussies, or at least that's what they were called before, is a country, Australia, that every team wants to go and win a test match. The Indians did it a few weeks back. Can Sri Lanka do it? What should we do? What should we not do? To answer these questions and more on this week's episode of Around the Wickets, as always, we have Farveez Maharoof alongside us, who's been on a few tours to Australia before. Farveez, I know, you guys have been discussing this a lot over the past few weeks with Roshan about what Sri Lanka can do, the kind of team setup that needs to be there. But let me put you right on the spotlight. When we went to New Zealand, our sentiments were that, listen, let's go there, let's compete. We don't want to get pushed over because knowing our current form, knowing Sri Lanka has not been doing so well in the recent past, lost to England at home, we wanted to say, listen, at least compete, put a fight, show us what you're made of. Would you say the same to them when they're going to Australia, considering, like I said earlier, Aussies aren't the mighty Aussies anymore?
Absolutely. I think if you take New Zealand too, I thought the New Zealanders were much solid and they knew the best 11. I mean, if you take the Australians within the last year, how many changes they have had? Yes. That's something unusual in the past. They had a strong base, which is like 15 players. They kept rotating, but I guess within the last year they would have tried out so many players. Yes. So I think when it comes to their batting lineup, that's the weakest point, and they have tried and tested so many players, and even this tour, some players are coming back. So I think this will be our best chance if you to create history. But saying that, it won't be that easy. Playing at Gabba and Canberra, two different challenges. But if you can score 300, yes, minimum, 350 with our batting lineup, if someone gets going and gets a big one, and if we score 350, I think we have the bowling attack to put them under pressure. Definitely.
So runs on the board is what Farveez Maharoof is saying that will make the difference for us. Right, so speaking of the approach of Sri Lanka, now we always say over here, and Farveez has told me a few times when we've discussed matches before, that it's important to get a good start when you're on tour. Your first match, your first few outings out there need to be good. But unfortunately for Sri Lanka, Farveez, we played a tour match last week against Cricket Australia 11. Those of you who are following must be knowing what the scores were, but just to bring you up to date, Cricket Australia 11 scored 316 for 5 in 75 overs. Then we were put into bat, 176 for 5, didn't do that well. Then again Australia batted for 224 for 3. Unfortunately, our batsmen would have wanted to spend a bit more time there, but Australians got 2 centuries, couple of half centuries, whereas Sri Lankans, none of them passed the half century mark. So worry, cause for concern in the way they've gone about that tour game?
I think on paper it does worry a bit when you look at the scores. But overall, being on tour, play practice matches myself, it doesn't evolve that much when it comes to the main 11. I mean, it's all about climatizing, getting used to the wicket. Those little things matters. And these are all professional cricketers, so they know what's their job in hand. So I guess we shouldn't be putting too much attention on practice matches. It is true that it's a practice match and it's a Cricket Australian 11, which is probably the second or third 11 for Australia. But saying that, I won't be that concerned with their form. It all depends on the mentality. Playing in Australia is one of the hardest things to do. You got to be prepared to give it back, and you're going to get it some as you saw in the Indian series. So mentally, you got to be very strong. This is not the time to talk about technical part of it. Technical part is done. Be mentally tough, especially the batsman. And I think let the Aussies have it.
Wow, okay, so be tough. I mean, go out there and make yourself, counted. That's pretty much what needs to be done. But, we spoke about Sri Lanka's approach, but let's touch a little bit on how the team has to be set up. I mean, Farveez said that it's important for the fast bowlers to strike. So let's start off with that, Farveez. We have the attack. I mean, guys like Lakmal have proven themselves to be wicket-taking bowlers, guys who can win matches for us. Lahiru Kumara bowled very well on away to us, especially in West Indies over the last year. You think they stand a chance on these wickets? And if so, will Australia provide wickets, considering they also have a good battery of fast bowlers? Do you see fast bowling wickets being prepared, especially at Gabba?
Absolutely. There will be plenty of bounce. Not too sure about the pace, not too sure how I was going to play when it comes to the pace of the wicket, but definitely there will be bounce, because Gabba historically probably the second bounciest wicket in the world after, probably the third bounciest after Perth and Johannesburg for me. So I think definitely the fast bowlers will have a bigger say. Even spinners will get the bounce. I think Nathan Lyon will be a threat, as well as Dilruwan Perera. Nathan Lyon being a finger spinner who likes to flight the ball and get that bounce, and depends on.
Dilruwan Perera, isn't he?
Yeah, Dilruwan Perera more of a sliding off spinner. Right. But with Nathan Lyon is over the top, he relies more on the bounce than spin, whereas Dilruwan relies more on the spin rather than bounce. So even this, I don't think I should keep away the spinners, how they're going to participate in that. I think they'll have a bigger role as well. But neck to neck, the fast bowler, I think definitely Australians have a better attack with Cummins and Stark in their disposal. But saying that, our fast bowler, I think Lairu Kumara, Suranga Lakmal will start, definite starters. Probably the third seamer spot, it's a bit fight between
Dushmantha is injured.
Yeah, so. Dushmantha Chamira or Kasun Rajitha. I mean, it depends on who's going to start, how they bowl in the practice game. So whoever does it, I think the conditions would be ideal for our fast bowlers also.
So you're saying three pacemen, one spinner and one part-time spin, is that what you're looking at?
Part-time spin, I think Dhananjay Silva will be there in case if you need some bowling to be done. I think the 7 batters should play. We always have to play 7 batsmen when you go out of subcontinent.
Right. So speaking of the batsman, Kusal Mendis might not be fit for that first test. We saw that he took a bad hit in that tour game, Kusal Mendis. If he is not fit, who would you bring in place of him?
I mean, last week I said my first starting 11, if I just remind the viewers. Yeah, it will be Thirimana to open with Dimuth Karunaratne, and number 3 would be, who did I say? Okay, number 4 is Kusal Mendis, 5 Dhananjay, 6 was, so number 3 is Dinesh Chandimal, I'm sorry. Yes. 3 Chandimal, 4 Kusal, 5 Dhananjay, 6 Kusal Pereira. Right. And number 7 will be Dikwalla. Roshan will sit out for me in the first 11. But in case if Kusal Mendis is not fit, I'll have Roshan to bat at 6. Right. And Dhananjay bat at 4 and Kusal Pereira to bat at number 5. There's
word that KJP, Kusal Pereira, might open the batting. You think that's
No, I don't think he'll open the batting. I think he'll much suited in the middle order, especially considering if we have a good start, we might have to face a second new ball also. Because he himself likes the pace of the ball. He likes to play the cut and pull, which whoever can play back foot strokes as a batsman will have a good outing in Australia. So you have to be very strong when it comes to cut and pull. So I think Kusal Pereira has it in his armory. So I'll definitely have him at 6. In case if Kusal Mendis doesn't play, I'll have him at number 5.
Good point there by Farveez. In fact, I noticed myself, Rishabh Pant did that very well off the back foot, those pull shots, those cut shots. So, yeah, I mean, KJP and those guys coming in the middle order might just have a say on those kind of wickets. Right. So, one last word on this. We spoke about Sri Lanka's approach. We spoke about Sri Lanka's team set up for this tour. How do you see Australians going into this? I mean, they've just, had a hammering against India. The media is all over them. They're calling them all kinds of things. They must be reeling out of confidence. But you know what they say, the wounded tiger is the most dangerous. So, Australia must be waiting to go out there and prove their spectators that, listen, we are not as bad as you think we are. So, how do you think they're looking at this test?
I think they'll come all guns blazing, playing at home. Especially they love playing in Gabba. If you take their record, I don't think they have lost a test match for a long time. So I think that's one of their favourite grounds. So we will be up for the fight as well. I mean, as I said, we got to be mentally very prepared, mentally strong to compete. Because Australia will come all guns blazing towards us. We shouldn't be backing like the Indians did. We should be in the front foot. If they give it, we should give it back. Simple as that.
There you go. Learn from your neighbours, they say, and that's exactly what we'll have to do. Learn from what India. In fact, Ramesh Ratnakar, the fast bowling coach, did say yesterday that they've been closely looking at what India were doing in terms of their bowling attack and how we can sort of emulate those lines and lengths to sort of put the Australian batsmen in the back foot. Well, one can only hope that we can do that successfully and maybe, just maybe, create some history in the land down under. Okay, so that's as far as the matches against Australia are concerned. We've got a lot more to talk about, especially that which is really important when it comes to the future of Sri Lanka cricket. Now, you know that, I mean, when you talk about future batsmen, those cricketers that are to take up the mantle in the future, we always look at the under-19 sides, we look at the Sri Lanka A sides and look at who's been performing there. All those guys have been in action, Sri Lanka A especially. Remember, the Ireland A team is in the island for a tour, and there is a 5 ODI tournament going on, of which 2 have been played. They are unofficial, remember, but they still matter. 2 have been played and won by Sri Lanka quite comfortably. The first one was won by Sri Lanka by 60 runs. Avishka Fernando scoring a century. So did Milinda Sirivardhana off just 75 balls. So he's back into form, back into the limelight. Upul Taranga among the runs again in the second ODI. He too scored a century. Kamindu Mendis once again, he's been making a lot of noise. 76 off 50. Angelo Pereira, been around for a long time. He's also scored 72 off 62. So, batsmen getting some very good runs against an Ireland A side. Would you say, Farveez, that perhaps the opposition is not that great, but that shouldn't discount the fact that our boys are out there knocking the door and saying, listen, there are more batsmen down the pipeline?
I think Ireland A team has a decent team. When it comes to the one-day team, I think whoever has performed, if I look at the names here, I think the guys like Milind Sirivardhana, Upul Taranga, even Kamindu Mendis, Jeevan Mendis, all knocking on that door for the World Cup squad. That's what I get the feeling, because you're not sure of Akil Dhananjay getting cleared still. And Sandakan, for me, as I said, got to be the second spinner, not the leading spinner. So we got so many players knocking on the door. I mean, this is what the selectors wants, a good headache. Yes. Keep people making runs and making a statement. So I think 8-team series for about 5-6 players for the national team is a great setup. For the rest of it, like Avishka Fernando and Angelo Pereira, those guys to be consistent in the 8-team level and wait till their turn comes for the national team. So I think overall, pretty happy with the first 2 games, and you just have to be ruthless. I mean, go for a clean sweep. I mean, we're playing at home and we're playing a brilliant team. And this is the best chance to impress the selectors before the South African one-day squad being announced.
Exactly. And in fact, Ireland A did give us a bit of a scare in that second test, and Sri Lanka batsmen once again, guys like Pathum Nissanka. That brings me to a very important question, Farveez. I mean, this has been a debate I've followed online on social media platforms. You know, they say these young cricketers, you take guys like Kamindu Mendis, Avishka Fernando, Pathum Nissanka, who's been scoring tons of runs in the domestic cricket. Do you think Sri Lanka cricket waits a bit too long before they bring them into the national setup? Because you take examples in India, Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill, you know, they perform in the under-19 level, immediately drafted in the national squad while they have the confidence, while they're in their red hot form. Perhaps, I mean, I'm no expert to make this call, but do you think, you know, we put them in the domestic scene, maybe neutralize them a little bit, and then it might be too late to bring them into the national squad, or just bring them immediately while they're in form?
I think definitely not too late. They definitely have a lot of time to go. Probably for me personally, I would like to have especially Kamindu Mendis, yes, to play a bit more of domestic cricket. Even Pathum Nissanka, for instance, Hasith Boyegadu, these guys are there and thereabout, but just they need more experience playing in first class level. So I think at the moment I'm happy how the setup is at the moment. They just continue to score runs and keep knocking on the door. Everything shouldn't come that easy for me. So I'll probably wait till after the World Cup to draft few of the youngsters in.
And then prepare for the next big World Cup campaign. So they have good, solid 4 years of experience. I mean, that's a brilliant point, in fact, by Farveez. Right. Speaking of under-19 cricketers doing well, there's one under-19 boy who made his mark in that World Cup. He captained the India under-19 side, and today he's the captain of the Indian cricket team. That man is none other than Virat Kohli. I mean, he just keeps breaking records and records. And yesterday, or rather last week, Virat Kohli became the first player in the history to win the Sir Garfield Sobers Trophy for ICC Cricketer of the Year, the ICC Men's Test Player of the Year, and the ICC ODI Player of the Year. First time this has happened, that all 3 awards given to one player. He has had an extraordinary 2018, a crazy extraordinary achievement for who is an extraordinary player. Farveez, I'm honestly running out of adjectives to describe this guy, Virat Kohli. Tell me very quickly, what do you think this guy is doing different to other batsmen? Because he just keeps, you know, getting better and better.
I mean, he's a freak. Simple as that. I mean, the way he trains, the way he looks after himself, his diet and everything. I think he's just born to play cricket itself. I mean, nothing else bothers him. I think the way he scores, how easy to score runs, I mean, when he's batting, and his captaincy, his body language, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
There you go. All boxes ticking for batsmen. That's probably what he's doing, you know, eating well, sleeping well, and at the same time going out there and making runs. That's exactly what every batsman needs to do. Maybe, just maybe, someday Sri Lanka will have a Virat Kohli. Speaking of awards, Dimuth Karunaratne, our test opening batsman, who's been the most consistent batsman for us, was named in the ICC Test Team of the Year. So that's one positive sign for Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, none of the ODI players made it to the ODI team, but Dimuth Karunaratne, big achievement. He's been very reliable for us. And of course, one more reason for pride is none other, who has always been a mark of pride for us. Kumar Dharmasena was named the David Shepherd Trophy for ICC Umpire of the Year for the second time in his career. Previously, he won the award in 2012. So good stuff for the Sri Lankans. At least that way, Farveez, we're making some good noise, you know, in the world cricket arena.
Absolutely, I'm chuffed for Dimuth Karunaratne. I think he had a brilliant 2018. Probably the best batsman we produce, and eventually, I mean, rightly so, making the ICC Test 11. I mean, I just hope that you know, he'll have a better 2019 to come up. And Kumar Dharmasena, what can I say? I mean, he's just so brilliant. I mean, one of the top umpires. Privileged that, you know, I made my first class career under his captaincy.
Wow, okay.
So
that's a surprise. Special to you that he was.
That's definitely special to me. I talk to him a lot whenever I need some advice. So pretty happy for him as well.
Brilliant, wasn't he? Even in his playing days, very humble character. Lovely to watch him play. Always had a fight in him, and we wish him the best to go on and get better and better in his umpiring career. Okay, so there have been quite a few domestic cricket matches that have taken place. We are in the middle of the Sri Lanka Cricket Premier League tournament, and the Super 8 tournament, Super 8 category of it has kicked off. Colombo Cricket Club, CCC, are in the top of the Super 8 category. They've played 4 matches, won outright 3. So they are sit on top of the table. And in the plate category, BRC sit on top of the table. This is what the points table looks like. So that's a lot of cricket being played as long as the domestic cricket is concerned. Okay, so that brings us almost to the end of the show. But before we go, as always, we'll ask you a good question so that you will have your minds busy until the next week. This week's question is, who has taken the only 5-wicket haul in day-night tests for Sri Lanka? Remember, this first test against Australia that's coming up is a day-night test. So our question to you is, who has taken the only 5-wicket haul in day-night tests for Sri Lanka? Last week, we asked you who led Sri Lanka under-19 when they beat Australia under-19 for the first time in 1985. I wasn't even born, so I wouldn't know. But the answer is Roshan Mahanama, now an ICC referee. He, alongside Hashan Tilaratne and Asa Guratna, also featured in the Sri Lanka under-19 team, which beat Australia under-19 by 8 wickets at the CCC ground. Sajiva Oshada Ratkarawa from Maharagama is the winner for that answer. So congratulations on getting that right. Right, Farveez, thank you very much once again. We look forward to that first test and we'll see you again reviewing what happened.
Definitely.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much once again. We'll see you next week. Until then, bye-bye from all of us at ThePapare.com.